Hey folks, everything new under the sun. What you're looking at here is a scene from Lord of the Rings, and it's where the trees are talking, walking, and this is not far from the truth, and it's very interesting. Let me just mute that. It's the idea that indeed the trees can talk to each other, they communicate, they work together in various aspects. I better stop that now before I get a strike on the account or something. But the Bible does speak about trees clapping their hands, and this is just one example. Isaiah 55:12. You will go out in joy and be led forth in peace. The mountains and the hills will burst into song before you, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. Now this is a video that I was watching, not this one here. This is by Answers in Genesis, and basically he goes and talks about the communication system that the trees had, that science is now discovering, and it's known colloquially as the Wood Wide Web. And again, it's the communication, and so I'm going to post a link to this video. I highly recommend you watch it. It shows the power of God. It's basically the World Wide Web created by God. All these trees communicating. When we look at them, we just see plants that are just sitting there. They're not doing anything. They're on their own, growing on their own. There's no communication. They can't talk to other trees. But in fact, God has created a communication system for them. So when you look at Tolkien and the trees walking and talking, I would suggest to you that there is probably far more truth to this than we realize. And maybe pre-flood, there were some other things going on, more activity, more communication, and maybe in heaven we will be able to communicate and talk to the trees, to the plants. Maybe there will be some method of communication, which I think is interesting. You look at the Greek gods, in the mythological gods, and those are all based off a kernel of truth that gods did exist, and they were from the Nephilim, and there was supernatural things going on. Well, this is the NewYorker.com, and this is speaking of the secrets of the Wood Wide Web. So you can go, you can find detail about this particular thing. But again, it's scientists looking at trees, looking at how they communicate. Let's see if I can get rid of that. And can I go into reader mode here? And it talks about, again, this idea of massive communication networks where if a pest is attacking a tree, it will send out a signal to other trees to then go and increase their defenses against a particular bug, whatever it may be. The implications of the Wood Wide Web far exceed the basic exchange of goods between plants and fungi. The fungal network also allows plants to distribute resources, so they're trading. They're almost buying and selling in a sort of way. Sugar, nitrogen, phosphorus. If a big established quote-unquote mother tree exists and it sees that a small sapling is growing up but doesn't have enough sun or doesn't have enough nutrients, it can actually, in some fashion, redirect nutrients to that tree so it can survive. Sugar, nitrogen, phosphorus between one another. A dying tree might divest itself of resources to the benefit of the community. For example, or a young seedling in a heavily shaded understory might be supported with extra resources by its stronger neighbors. So they're communicating. The sapling is communicating to the bigger trees around it. Even more remarkably, the network allows plants to send one another warnings. A plant under attack from aphids can indicate to a nearby plant that it should raise its defensive response to the aphids before the aphids reach it. It has been known for sometimes that plants communicate above ground in comparable ways by means of airborne hormones, but such warnings are more precise in terms of source and recipient when sent by means of the myconet, or this Wood Wide Web. This is another example of stuff that science is only just now becoming aware of, that the trees talk to each other. So you have this idea again in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings that the plants are talking, they're communicating, the trees are talking amongst each other, and the more we learn about science and God's creation, the more we realize He had all the technology in place before we even dreamed about it. The World Wide Web, that's not new to humans. God already has that established in what we would understand to believe otherwise. Plants, animal systems. If the plants are communicating, what are the animals doing? How wide and large is the animals' communication system and their network, and how what are other ways that they're communicating on the ground that we don't know about? God's creation is far more advanced than you and I understand, and it's, as a Christian, it's good to it's significant, it's hugely important to understand this, because nothing that man does is new. Everything that man does is, at the end of the day, a copy of what God has already done. And we look at evolution and say, it's just dumb evolution by chance. That's a slap in the face to God, who created highly advanced structures, algorithms, components in nature, living things that are far more advanced than we could ever dream of making in the lab. So we are fearfully and wonderfully made with a massive intelligent design, far more than we could ever think, and science is only scratching the surface. We know nothing, and it's just the pride of man that thinks that we can figure it out, that we know what's happening. It's the pride of man that thinks we can create, a jab for this particular illness, and it's going to be safe and effective, right? Humans don't know anything when it comes right down to it about what's going on. That's why you have to be careful with science these days, and the pride of man getting involved, and the bias, the pride that makes them think that they know better than God, that we are smarter as humans. We are absolutely not. We are dumber. Humans have been getting dumber over the last 6,000 years. We are not getting smarter. We may have computers, which maybe they didn't have pre-flood, but they had other technology, i.e. technology to levitate things with sound waves, to cut rock with sound waves. You go looking at the Baalbek stones, the massive stones that went into the pyramid. They had some other technologies that we could only dream of, and that science is only kind of speculating on at this point. So I'll leave a link in the description to the video by Answers in Genesis. Watch it. Let your kids watch it. This is important stuff to realize, that God is the creator, and He is far more intelligent, obviously, than we can even understand. It will blow our mind the more we learn about the stuff that God has created, and the stuff that science isn't even aware of right now. And this is just, again, scratching the surface of it. I'll leave there, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.